Welcome to Marketing MASH, brought to you by themarketingscope.com.
All right. Welcome to the Marketing MASH. We have some lovely hosts with us today. Brian Fanzo, Shelly Kramer, Daniel Newman, and I'm Eric Vidal. Today we're going to talk 2016 marketing trends. What are marketers going to be focusing on next year? And just to kick this off, we actually have a virtual event next week that the Marketing Scope's putting on, and we're going to be talking about the same thing. And the wonderful Daniel Newman, best-selling author, speaker, writer, is going to focus on some of those trends. And Daniel, I'm going to kick it off right now with you. What are some of the things you're going to be talking about in that virtual event? What are some of the things that you're hearing from some marketing leaders?
Yeah, so a couple of years back, I started a little tradition of writing prognosticated posts about the next year in marketing, because let's face it, 10 things about anything do better on social media than writing posts that don't start with 10 things. So,
and nobody else writes those posts. Yeah, nobody else writes those predictions.
That is absolutely, it's garbage.
Right.
Although the one I wrote is great.
But at least you set that up properly before you wrote it. I remember you set it up right.
Yeah. So what I did is I did 10 trends that I think are going to really take off or continue to take off in 2016. And yeah, your CMO Summit next week, I'm going to touch on those a little bit, but I thought it'd be a good one to start. And maybe I'll pick one and then we'll go around and we can, maybe go through 3 or 4 of them as a group. But, maybe starting with my number 1 of my 10 and saying that I think there's going to be an explosive amount of effort and investment around customer-centric marketing, meaning customer service, customer experience, replacing marketing in the sense of it being more focused on the way companies do content, the way they're doing social, the way they're doing their ongoing engagement. Basically, that everything is going to, instead of being focused so much on the pure push marketing and push everything and trying, if I get your ad in front of you 7 times, you're going to remember me. We're going to start working on creating marketing that is much, much more personalized and one-to-one. And I wrote this yesterday on Forbes. I said one-to-one marketing is the new selling. And I'll sort of make that the basis of this conversation, is I think one-to-one marketing or customer-centric marketing is going to start to replace some of the marketing.
Well, Daniel, let me ask you a question. So do you think it's going to be just the same for B2B as it is to B2C, or heavier on B2C?
Well, I'm more of a B2B marketer. I know we're not supposed to say B2B, but Shelly and I, if we look at our client role, right? I don't think we have too many B2Cs. There's a lot of human to human. If we want to give a shout out to our friend Brian, or P2P, which is what I've been calling it for a while, but I don't think it matters. This is something I've been emphatic about since the new rules of customer engagement. I've said, if you're a buyer of Starbucks coffee, or if you're a buyer of lunch at McDonald's, then you are a person, and a person is the one that makes buying decisions. I think, if anything, we want that more personalized touch in B2B every bit as much as we want it in B2C.
I think you're right, Daniel, but I think I don't disagree with your prediction. I think that a minuscule amount of companies are ready to focus on the customer experience. Certainly a minuscule number of B2B customers. I think B2C customers are actually getting that, and they're getting Omnichannel, and they're understanding that much better now, and I think they're far ahead of it. But I think, especially in the B2B space, I think it is, and this is evidenced by our clients in many respects, I think our clients are still struggling to understand that content marketing is not a push messaging channel. I mean, I still have conversations on a weekly basis with clients about content not always selling, about social not being a push messaging channel. So for me, while I think that you're right that this is important, I believe that we are so far from mainstream B2B companies understanding the customer experience and creating around the customer experience. I think that is not happening in 2016, except in a number of elite, very smart, very forward-thinking companies.
Yeah, but is that because of like, like you have this sense of like kind of in the world of Henry Ford, right? Where a lot of these brands were still stuck in the idea that our customer is not smarter and doesn't know what they need, so we still have to be the ones to lead them to the fact that if we would listen to our customers, we would have made faster horses, not cars, right? That's
yeah. I understand what you're saying. I don't think that marketers are stupid. But I think we're talking about a very big thing. And I think that, again, I'm in the trenches every day. Daniel's in the trenches every day having conversations with senior leaders and with marketing teams. And a lot of times our marketing teams get it. And they understand, and yet we're having daily conversations, fighting to get content approved by legal departments, and trying to get buy-in from senior management on content. And we've got teams who still don't even understand the value of having a LinkedIn presence in the B2B space. And so I don't think it's that they just don't know, and I don't think that people don't understand that things are changing. I just think that, especially, I think a lot of times the larger the enterprise, the longer it takes to change. But we see the same in some of our mid-sized clients who are very smart people doing big things and making a lot of money. And they're still doing things the way they always used to do them. And content is a new thing for them, and social is a new thing for them, and customer experience is a new thing for them. And I just don't think we're going to see this sweeping change in 2016 where people are all of a sudden going to go, oh my God, we're going to change everything. I just don't see that.
Well, this maybe funnels into, Eric, I'll let you grab this on the backside of this comment, but one of my other trends that maybe appropriates this and contextualizes this a little better is this is the year that the brands stop looking at social media as a silo. I want to explain this a little bit further, but customer experience, for instance, right? We were talking to Andy Zanella today on Cloud Talk about his small medium company. And I asked him, he's all into the ERP and the CRM, and he was all over that stuff. And I started talking to him about social customer service, and he got real delayed, right? He's 120 employee B2B company. And he's kind of like, yeah, we're looking into that. We're not really doing anything yet. But what that immediately gave me a feeling, I know what you're thinking, Shelly. But what I started thinking about there was that can be every bit as much about customer experience focused marketing as actually doing content with a customer experience slant on it. What I mean by that is just investing in the fact that customer service is marketing for your brand is a new thought process.
Oh,
a new idea that your customer service people, your operations people, your HR people, every facet of your company is about creating experiences. It's about employee engagement. And I'm thinking that's kind of every bit as much as I mean about customer-centric, marketing as you were talking about it. I mean that for the smaller brands, it's just about responding to people on social, about actually using, like I said, customer service as a marketing tactic, which few companies have ever done as well as they can and should, considering the costs of new customer acquisition versus the cost of customer retention.
Right. No, I agree. And I think that we are seeing more people understand the importance of tying in customer service. And I know that, you and I, because we work together, one of the first questions that we ask new clients is we ask to pull in feedback from customer service. What are the chief complaints? What are the chief issues that we have, and try to get our marketing team to realize how important it is to integrate customer service into what it is they're doing and that sort of thing. Ooh, Brian's making me kind of dizzy.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't hear a plug.
That's okay. So anyway, no, I agree. I think we're getting there, but I just don't think that, I think we're beginning to see the beginning steps of understanding that. And, as TL Burris said, we are very much on the same page here. But whether we're talking about the beginning days of, going down the social media path or adopting content marketing or starting to work on lead gen, we're scared to go there because we don't understand or we don't have the internal resources, or we can't get the budget allocations to do those things. I mean, those are the same refrain, different verse. We hear that all over again. It's a constant battle.
Well, I'd argue also, if your brand can't trust your employees, how the hell are you going to trust your customers? if you can't do it internally first, it's a hard stretch to trust the customer feedback and input to take it to the kind of the next level, no matter really what level of you're kind of trying to adopt that across, especially, I think isn't part of the argument is also like we're trying to use social to meet old KPIs that were for other technology or other direct objectives, where if you're able now to link and use data to actually like the whole idea of sentiment analysis. I've been doing a lot of that on that, and like what you're able to take sentiment analysis from on your customer engagement, customer feedback, and then turn that into product management, where product management is able to actually adjust the product in real time based on customer sentiment. That's a direct ROI. You can tie that directly back into some exciting business value, but yet we're not, to get there, you're right. There has to be a company that understands and is on that leading edge, especially in 2016.
Well, and that actually leads me into what I think a trend is, without question. It's already starting, but I think what we're already seeing, and what we're going to see more of in 2016 is we're going to see platforms designed around analysis and customer sentiment and data visualization that shows what people are talking and how they're connected and all that sort of thing. And I have probably in the last week alone, I've had 5 different companies reach out to me, with the latest and greatest platform. And I think so, just like we saw when social came on the scene, just like we saw, the advent of things like TweetDeck and Hootsuite and all these different tools, things to manage your social. And then when content became, the next big thing, then we saw all of these platforms, Curata and Contently, and all of these platforms designed to solve every one of your content marketing needs. And I think now what we're seeing is these sentiment analysis platforms. And the problem from a consumer standpoint is that there's so many of them. I think that it's almost like HubSpot. HubSpot is a great company. I have lots of friends there, but it's, and its platform, it's a fine platform. Is it the be all end all solution to every single marketing thing? No, absolutely not. But what HubSpot did right early on was they understood marketing, and they understood influencers, and they understood the power of brand advocates, and they put so much money in, and HubSpot owns the place when it comes to, the services that they deliver. And I think that when it comes to sentiment analysis, we'll see the brands that get this, that will spend the money to get on the right people's radar screens, and who will spend money for that kind of brand awareness like HubSpot did. There are other companies that have done the same thing. And I think that those are the companies that are well positioned to really take the lead in this market.
Dan, I know you wrote that piece recently as well, and you have your presentation next week. What are some of the other pieces in that top 10?
Well,
and if you don't have it in front of you, I can name some off.
No, I know them. I think another one that I always like to talk about, in every conversation, and Shelly started to sort of go down that path, is 2 of them, and I'm going to kind of glue them together. I said one is marketers are going to discover that big data is for them. And again, we being sort of on the front of a lot of trends may think that seems like common sense, but I think for the most part, marketers have pretty much kept their hands off of big data or data in general. And then the second thing I said, 2016 is going to be the year that the CEOs, FOs, OOs that marketing are rolling up to are going to be demanding quantifiable results, data-driven results from their marketing efforts. And I think you're going to start to see that shifting not only into big organizations, but into smaller organizations as well, because, companies are spending, right? They keep showing these charts with companies spend on content going up in a vertical line. Their spend on social going up in a vertical line. But the stakeholders now are saying, what are we getting, right? And like Eric, you being an inbound guy, you're part of the spend, right? When people invest with the marketing scope and do a lead gen campaign, they have an idea, a budget. We need this many leads. This is what we're going to spend for leads. Social's been really odd, right? Because it's like if we generate 1 billion impressions doing a live streaming thing, right, Brian? What does that really create for the brand, though? And that's where they're being challenged. Like, okay, it goes back to Shelly. You talked about sentiment. There's no doubt that's an increase in sentiment, but there's got to be tools to measure that. Who's clicking on things? Where are they clicking? Where are they spending time? You know, you're going to see more pixels being installed on pages for more retargeting, remarketing campaigns. People want to know what the attributions are to their different marketing investments. And I think the combination of big data and accountability are going to start to really come into play through organizations large and smaller. I'm not thinking like all the way down to the bottom, but I'm thinking large and platform type companies are going to expect some type of return on their spend in marketing, and that accountability is going to fall on CMOs, marketing VPs, directors, and their agencies and the ones that are working with them.
Hey, real quick, going back to one of your comments about big data, you know, I'm going back a couple of jobs ago, but even today for 2016, that's one of my goals, but it's not big data. I just want clean data. I want to go in and clean up my data. It's on my top 10 list. So I'm wondering if anyone else feels that way, because I would just position
you're in the
that
part
one
of it where
differently.
you have so much data to look at, Eric. I mean, you have lists with 6 figures people, and people change emails. They, you know, what are they engaging with, looking at? And, you know, people say, hey, Eric, we got a list of 1 million people we can reach out to. But we all know that the actual number of people that will engage, it's like I have 100,000 Twitter followers. How many people see each of your tweets, right? Maybe 1.5%, if you're lucky, see a tweet and engage on it. Right. So the point is, we tend to use the biggest metric for selling something, and then the smallest metric for presenting a result. And I'm saying we need to try to bring that kind of together, where the leadership is going to say, I don't care if you have 1 million people on your email list. I need to know how many director level people with companies of 100 to 250 that have a spend of 50,000 to 100,000 on technology products that are located in this geography, right? And that's kind of what I'm saying is, like, it's getting to the point where we have a lot more data. We need a lot more data, and clean data. I think I saw something today, Eric. They said like 90% of your time on big data project is going to be spent on data hygiene, is actually keeping your data clean.
But I think that this is another challenge, Daniel. I think that some marketers already understand the importance of data and what data can deliver. But I think that still the challenge is getting the budget dollars from senior leaders to be able to buy the right tools, to be able to have the right analysts on staff or consultants to be able to get the data, understand the data, extract the right kind of insights to be able to use them to drive your strategies. And you know what? All that takes money. And that's a problem, because by so many organizations, marketing is viewed as an order taking department. And, you know, yes, everybody wants to know exactly what the value is of all of our marketing efforts, but we can't deliver that. We can't deliver that without having the funds to be able to do that. And I think that's still a challenge. And I think getting those, you know, again, I go back to each and every one of our clients that we work with. And, you know, we have conversations all the time, and they know some of the stuff they need, but they have a marketing team of 3, you know? And so I think that continues to become a challenge, is that we know what we need. I think marketers are pretty smart about the problems that data can solve, and you know, are learning more and more and more about data all the time. But I think being able to fund that remains a key challenge for marketers.
Yeah, and going back to what Daniel said, it was about, and correct me if I don't say this correctly, Dan, but more accountability, right? How you measure. It's not just about lead gen, or it's not just about content marketing, but what kind of impact does that have on the organization or the marketing and sales funnel, right? And so the good news is we have a lot more technology out there, and we're getting cleaner data to track all that. I mean, I remember 15 years ago, it was hard to, you know, we brought in 972 leads, but we have no idea what happened to them. You know what I mean? Or there were some anecdotal stories around 3 or 4 of them, but nowadays, I mean, you can track everything from the leads to an opportunity to pipeline, how long was in the pipeline, how many of them dropped out, how many of them closed, et cetera, et cetera. And that's powerful. And that's actually helping out the marketers. That's helping their seat out at the C-level table now.
Well, you know, our mutual friend Jack Kazakowski would say it's going to be the year of marketing automation. And, he's a
marketing automation sales rep.
Act on sales rep, of course. But the point, the reason I would actually throw him out the credit though is marketing automation. Just like we talked with Andy today on Cloud Talk about his choice to get into using ERP and CRM as a very small company. Small companies can now afford to be in marketing automation. They can afford to get their customer list, email list, and track every touch point that they have with customers. And there's really no more excuse than using Google Apps for work or using QuickBooks for your accounting to have marketing automation at some level in your business. And by adding that, right, Eric, you know this as well as anybody, you can now have a much cleaner data set and a much cleaner vision as to how your customers are engaging with your content, your social, than you can today using either a hodgepodge of off-the-shelf or free tools or no tools at all. And, I'll use an example, and Brian, I'd like to rope you into this, but we do a lot of work with media, with shows, right? For instance, Cloud Talk, and SAP's been a sponsor for a long time. And what have we seen the shift go from, brands that want to be cool and tag their logo to a show to now looking for accountability? They've basically come back and said, we want to track clicks. We want to promote assets. We want to take you to landing pages. Right. We want reporting at the end of every period of time. We want to basically know if our investment in even something as trendy as live streaming or, Twitter chats actually can be tied to anything other than pure brand awareness, which they have budgets for, but not all of them want to, they're being more careful on those soft spends than they've ever been before.
Well, and that's coming, I'm in the middle of a campaign with IBM right now, and that's coming from the most senior leaders. So the good thing is, in many instances, senior leaders are understanding the importance of tying all these things together, and the edict is coming down that, we have this money to spend, but here's what we want to get as a result of that. So I think that's great. That's a big step forward.
Well, finally, because going back to what a comment Devon you had mentioned earlier about how people are changing agencies, right? Because the agencies that were fluffy or light and couldn't prove ROI, were getting pushed aside. I remember, and I'm aging myself here, but I remember back 9 years ago where we had agencies or even senior leadership that just, I want to do
cool campaigns.
Cool campaigns. And then the delivery mechanism was TV and print and maybe 2%, 1% online. And when I was at WebEx, that was a big push. We were moving away from that technique and that strategy and had to let an agency go and move to another one. And we were trying to go to 85% online. We were an online company. Why aren't we online?
Right.
And, it's funny how many agencies just stared at us and go, what are you talking about?
But that's not new though. And I think that's a challenge for agencies today because and I have many friends in the agency business that are brilliant people, but I think when we're talking about CRM systems and marketing automation systems and the sophistication that could come as a result of email and all that sort of thing, brands don't want necessarily to put all of that stuff in the hands of somebody else. And so that's, to me, if you don't have the expertise to do all that in-house, and you don't necessarily need to hire everybody to do that in-house, but when you can work with a team of consultants who can help you do that at a very senior level, I think you're way better off. And I just think that those are a lot of services that agencies across the board, mid-sized to large agencies, often don't have the expertise, either don't have the expertise to be able to deliver for you as a client, or if you are a client, I'm not sure why you would want to put all of that in the hands of somebody else and take it off-site. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, that plus it's not easy. It's a lot easier to go put out do a buy for a TV and a print ad campaign, and then sit back and go do your martini lunches for 2, 3, 7 weeks. And then, okay, after 7 or 8 weeks, let's track it. With online, there's multiple touches, multiple spins, 27,000 things going on all at once, and you can track it in real time, and then you move everything around. So it's fast, it's complicated, it's not easy. it's not a one-time buy and sit back and have martini lunches for 8 weeks. Like,
Well, I do have to say, in defense of my many agency friends, I don't know anybody that has martini lunches. That's
okay.
like Mad Men days.
I'm stereotyping.
So I don't want anybody to be mad.
Day,
I don't want anybody to be mad because I have friends that do amazing work in agencies, and I think that they play an important role. But I think that there are certain things that are in a wheelhouse of an agency and certain things aren't. And I think that the danger comes when agencies, and you know what, I know people in PR who try to do this. I have friends who are in PR who all of a sudden have become marketing experts or integrated marketing experts or whatever over the course of the last 5 years because they want to be everything to everybody. And we don't do that. We don't do PR. If we need PR, we reach out and bring a PR pro in and have them serve the needs of our clients. So I think that not trying to be all things to all people is one of the keys to success when you're in the agency business, whether you're small or large.
Yeah, it's a fine line because they want everything from everyone. They want simplicity and one neck to choke, but at the same time, you oversell and underdeliver, and that's super risky. So I think we have time for one more because I want to, I got Brian over there being eerily quiet. Okay?
Eerily.
Listening and learning.
Eerily.
Yeah, well, that's good. And after I always decompress after trying to rock a room. I've never done it like you, but after I speak to a room, I try to. It takes me a while. Like my introverted me.
Not true, Daniel. Not true.
I'm super exhausted after I speak.
You rock the room.
My question for you. So I may or may not have had a trend that's something along the lines of video marketing will explode and reach new heights this next year across all businesses of all different sizes, and live streaming will find a purpose or find a purpose. Businesses will find purpose for live streaming. You're the live streaming guy, even though I put it on my trends. We may have some insights and some big brands that are looking at making some pretty large investments in live streaming this year. But in your experience or your thoughts, is just what is the potential of the live streaming and web for 2016? Is it going to take off, or is it going to be niche-y?
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because listening to kind of that data conversation and proving value, I look at it as the same people that are asking for that are still paying for a billboard on the side of the street that really cannot link any data to a direct ROI. And then you look at like an influencer marketing campaign and you say, we want people to amplify, we want to get a hashtag trending, all that nonsense. And then where does like live streaming come into play? Even here at the Dell event, a lot of their questions came into from like a live streaming perspective is like, what are they getting out of it? They weren't asking. The interesting part has been right now there is no data like from like a time on pay. I mean, you can get time in app and time the amount of viewers you have total, but like there's not like a lot of hard data, and I think that is a huge limitation for adoption because I think with video we got used to YouTube, and YouTube's kind of defined kind of like a benchmark of what success looks like from a professional video. But the interesting thing is like working with Dell and they're going to leverage or implement some sort of live streaming to help define their content marketing calendar based on the comments and conversations and questions they get by doing live streaming. To me, that's exciting, but it's also interesting because where does that investment and how do you link that data to time? So I think people will be embracing live streaming a little bit more. I am hesitant to say that I think people will start to figure out or understand how it fits in that ROI question, unless the ones that are hiring us, but no, unless the ones that are really kind of leading edge and kind of trying to dive in like a little bit, like to continue the conversation. Like for me, being able to download every person that because there's a little bit like the email gen or lead gen side, every person that watched a live stream, getting every one of their Twitter handles, and then reaching out to them with a targeted ad campaign for something that was linked toward what the live stream kind of educated on, and then figuring out what your percentage of those that you targeted that watched your live stream that got the original interest, how many of those actually clicked, and what's the percentage gain versus not having the live stream at all and doing your targeted direct paid social to people that didn't get the original live stream. Like doing things like that, I think will be something that brands will start to look at. But I don't know how many brands are that far along on understanding kind of how to build those kind of plans together.
So from a live video streaming perspective, I mean, Brian, you got the best input and insight for that one. I'll just talk about video marketing. Dan, you brought video marketing. this last 6 months alone, every article, every ebook we promote about video marketing is big, and it goes big. And some of the events that we've had, big. 3 of our sponsors on 24, Intercall and InExpo, all video and Vidyard as well. All 4 of those are video marketing experts. They've seen some interesting increases just in the last 6 to 12 months. So I figure next year will probably be even bigger. The CMO at On24 had shared with me in a past video we did just a couple weeks ago, just how much growth has gone on. And it's not just the traditional marketing. There's a lot of product marketing that's doing video marketing or product groups, right? Education on the product or the process. It's exploding. It's huge. It's huge.
Well,
so I think that's a good prediction.
Well, part of that, I think, also comes into this idea of social video, right? I mean, we hear all this craziness about Facebook videos driving better organic reach, but like, what kind of Facebook videos and what analytics do we have on Facebook videos? And then let's look at Twitter video, right? Twitter video, the data that just came out on Twitter video, I think it was early last week, is crazy. If you have a Twitter video, because Twitter ads have always struggled, but the Twitter ads with video based are actually competing with Facebook ads now. And that's a 30-second video. Well, if you do a Twitter paid video, you can have more than 30 seconds, but let's put it as that side. So when I think of live streaming, I saw that the question in there, live streaming, I think it's actually more social video. So you can incorporate, Twitter video, Facebook video in there. You can also include Facebook mentions. You can, if you there's things like Fire Talk, My Eye, and Snapchat, where the call that I was on this morning with that a brand is investing in Snapchat influencers, 25x what they're investing in every other influencer campaign across the board. And that's Snapchat. So for me, I think there's this element of video, it's social video, not just, I think perfect video is the old way of doing it. I think video in a social capacity, which is including what you're talking about, Eric. Because I think of webinar video, I think of even collaboration video, even employee to employee video in a sense that it's shared publicly. Because I have one of my gigs in 2016 is going to be focused on the role of live streaming for employee advocacy. And it's amazing how much data and things that you can link out of that video that can help your company across the board, from retention to recruiting to, let's face it, use sentiment analysis and know which day of the week is best to lay someone off. That is crazy as that sounds. So I think the ability to start leveraging video at a level we never thought of before will be interesting. But even as someone that loves the live streaming space, I'm still hesitant because I think we're still living in a space where brands are still grasping social, and mobile live streaming isn't even a year old.
Yeah, I agree.
You're talking about up in the air, Brian. They're going to get rid of the corporate restructures and just bring people into rooms and fire them over video. But I mean, you and I did, we did a Smack Talk or, one of our podcasts a while back, Brian, where we talked about, social video for customer service. And that's kind of one of the themes, I think, why I started and finished, and maybe it's a good way to sort of tie this all together with customer centrism, is it isn't about all about brands getting customer journey mapping perfect and being able to know and understand every touch point. It's about the things that we're calling marketing tools are going to start to be used for customer experience tools. So Twitter is a customer experience tool. Live streaming is customer experience. Having a series of YouTube videos that is generated to do the FAQs or to make a resource center for people to quickly answer questions that they are constantly asking, that we used to maybe write a short blurb about. Why don't we do a video show and tell, right? How to fix this, how to replace this in your computer, how to set up your new Blab account, whatever it is. Create a quick video, take somebody through it. That's the kind of video that I see. Or like I said, a customer complains on Twitter. Instead of just writing them a tweet back, have a person get on video, record a quick snippet that says, "Hey, Mr. Customer, I'm really sorry that American Airlines once again sucks. We're going to do everything we can. Make sure you follow me so we can DM each other, and I'm going to work on the back end to make your experience better." I've said for a while, it's really hard to be mad at a person. It's easy to be pissed at a brand, though. That's all of these great reasons why video can gain momentum. And it is relatively inexpensive, this dirty video concept, where if you're well-spoken, well-versed in your topic, if you can jump on video and do a podcast, hangout, Periscope, and know what you're talking about, engage people, be conversational, it's a little more real than some of these super staged, perfect videos Not to say there's not a role for that, because I think that's in the video bucket as well.
Well, what's funny, Daniel, about that is for me, one of the big, I've been pitching and working with a lot of brands on the live streaming, and the biggest constraint, complaint, worry is brand message and staying on brand message. And we spend $1 bajillion a year on brand message. And the crazy thing is, the workaround for me has been, let me go celebrate your customers, interview your customers, let your customers talk about products, experience that you're creating. Therefore, it's not you don't have to worry about brand message because they're not supposed to be on brand message. And then you're taking it from a third-party advocate perspective. They're immediately on board, which is interesting because that goes back to your kind of first trend on this whole customer-centric. When we flip it that way, the worry of perfection and brand messaging almost goes out the window, where we can kind of flip the other way. The problem becomes, if you don't trust that your customers are getting the best experience and they say, oh, it's great I use this laptop, but the rest of my freaking services suck, then you're really in trouble, because it is live and it's on your branded account. So there is a little bit of risk versus reward, especially those that
a lot of risk.
Yes, for sure.
There's a lot of risk, and I think that gets in the way of adoption, and it should get in the way of adoption, because that's scary. That's scary for a lot of.
Well, and if your product and your experience doesn't suck, it's not as scary. But if you do have kind of you're leading a little bit between you're selling a little bit of snake oil, and as well as kind of putting the car together as you go, there is some things you do not. And I think that brands that are doing that are you have to do that in today's day and age. But I think ultimately the risk versus reward is, if you're not doing it and you're not being seen or being heard or engaging with your community, what's the risk there? That's a high risk as well.
Well, Dan, you were talking about different kind of videos, like product videos or different things like that. Have you guys ever seen those unboxing videos that are really big now the last few months? A lot of brands are doing.
But I think too that videos are not new in that regard. I have a good friend that, I think I mentioned this before in one of these conversations, that worked for Garmin for years, and he did a series. He led their social operations, but he used to do all their videos on equipment. And so you'd see him all over their YouTube channel about, this is Jake from Garmin and this new watch, and here's how you set this and you do this and you whatever. And he said, he would go places, like he would be in REI or someplace, and somebody would stop and would go, "You're Jake, the Garmin guy. I love you," and he's just a guy, doing videos for Garmin. And I don't mean talent. I mean, just a marketer, and I think that we as a society have gotten to where we open the box and we throw instructions away and we go to YouTube because we want to visually see that. But I want to step back to Mark Meyer's point, and I want to clarify what you were talking about, because you were talking about Dan's point about videos and solving customer problems with videos and all that sort of thing. And you're saying that you agree what he's saying, but analytics will drive that, and quick turnaround analytics. And what I think maybe you're touching on is, when we have call centers, it's easy for us to sit here and talk about how cool it would be to shoot video to solve all our customers' problems, okay? But the reality of it is that we have call centers where they're timed on how quickly they turn around a customer problem, and they're evaluated on that, right? Okay. And so, I think that when you add another element to that equation, and we're going to do a short video, we're going to do this, or we're going to do that, I think then we could be getting into the danger, be careful country, where all of a sudden we're spending more time on customer service than we might have been spending before, which then becomes a problem. So are you talking about that when you talk about quick turnaround time and that sort of thing, Mark? Or are you talking about something completely different? And, not to put you on the spot or anything, but I'm just curious. And maybe he's listening. Maybe he's listening. Maybe he's not.
There he goes.
Okay. So more so about the analytic. Okay. So you mean, so we integrated this new system and we're using video to solve customer service related issues, and how effective is it, and what systems do we have in place to evaluate the effectiveness? Is that what you mean? Okay. Cool. All right. I just wanted to follow up on that point. Yeah, but what that means is that we have to have a big change, right? And again, it's easy to be the people who sit here and spout off about like really cool changes that are going to happen and blah, blah, blah. But from an organizational standpoint, there's a lot of work to make those things happen. So we have to be able to take our customer service people and, the three of us are comfortable on camera, but 97% of human beings are not. Okay. So when we hire our customer service people, they have to be comfortable being on camera, because at any moment they might have to film a short video to help a customer. See, then it becomes a whole different, much more complicated. Now, I'm not saying that it can't be done. I'm just saying there's always different ways to look at this. And I have the pick it apart personality, as you no doubt can see. But I think that that's what you want. I mean, you want to be able to pick every single idea apart, because that's how you get to how the heck can we make this work,
Yeah. So we heard a lot. We heard customer journey, customer centric marketing, big data, or as I say, clean data, video marketing, video in general, right? Live streaming video. What else did I miss, Dan? Omnichannel. I know you brought up in your piece. Anything else you want to close with?
Well, I mean, like Shelly talked about, with businesses being specifically able to get into a trend, I think omnichannel is going to explode in the retail sector. Absolutely. Like that one, for instance, I do not see being quite as ready for prime time across other markets. I think
it has to.
We're going to start seeing more of that data mapping in the B2B and stuff, which is going to eventually lead to better customer journey in B2B. But I think omnichannel for retail, evident by the $1 billion shortfall in retail sales and the 36% of all sales going to Amazon on Cyber Monday, just shows that understanding touch points, retargeting, capturing people across the multiple phases of their journey, putting the right content in front of them at the right time and on the right channel, and making sure that you're using automation, using tools, using open rates to re-engage people at the right moment. And that really is, omnichannel is an experience creator, not a marketing tactic. And so it goes back to my number one, which is thematic. And why I made it number one is all of these things need to be done in order for a brand to create better customer experiences, because we have entered the age of the experience economy.
Yep.
Bam.
Boom.
Boom. Well, listen.
Yeah, so I don't think you can close it better than that, except if you would have known that was the close, and you would have been like, mic drop.
Hey, Devonyu, I'm going to say real quickly, you asked about virtual reality. Maybe we'll talk about that in a coming show, but I will tell you this. My 9-year-old twins and I were sitting on the couch last night, and I watched a TV spot come on about a new VR set that I can't even remember it. There's a phone in there. It's Oculus. Yeah. And I'm just sitting there going, holy crap, is that ever cool? And my kids are looking at me going, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, you're going to know. Virtual reality. You're going to know.
Well, virtual reality and augmented reality, I think, will be big in the B2C space.
So big. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, great. Listen.
You guys have been awesome. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you, Eric. You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. And we love always your smart participation and your big brains, and love having you as part of this conversation.
Great. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Marketing Mash. You can share your thoughts by following us on Twitter and Facebook. Subscribe to our podcast to keep up with the show. And of course, you can always find us by visiting themarketingscope.com.